Hello! Welcome to the middle of Unit 6. Now, I'm posting this video because in the discussion room, Ben had made the statement that he wanted to know why I do not like to start auctions with art. And so I thought I would actually make a short video to address that. First thing being is that it's not that you never want to. Obviously, there's a lot of companies out there who make a phenomenal living off of selling art. One of the most famous recent pieces of art was a Da Vinci painting that nobody knew was in existence. And how do you value something like that? Like, you don't put that up for sale and be like, hey, what are you gonna charge? You almost have to have an auction for it because it's a Da Vinci. Like, what? And so I think that sold for 420 million, something like that. Insane. And so something sells obviously for 420 million and it's art, obviously that went well. So why would I not want to start off with art in one of my auctions? Well, the first thing being is that I'm not selling Da Vinci. So let's just put that out there right there. I have been very fortunate that I was able to sell a sketch by Salvador Dali once upon a time, but that is far and away the coolest piece of art that I've ever done. A successful auction is, again, a negotiation. And what makes a successful negotiation for me, and I want to back that up just a little bit, is that as the auctioneer, I am always representing the seller. That is my responsibility in this. So what that means from a negotiation standpoint is that the only party that I work for, the only party that I represent, the only party whose interests that I have in mind and have responsibilities to, duty of care, duty of fiduciary responsibility, duty of ethical behavior, that only lies with the seller. And so I always have to keep that in my mind when I am fulfilling my role in working for them. The buyers, y'all on your own, okay? I'm working for the seller. So what that means is that I am doing my best to get the most money for whatever their property is. And so in this case, I talked about a fundraiser. So in that case, my job is to make the most money that I possibly can for the charity. Now, what makes a successful kickoff of an auction or what makes successful any auction is that you have to have high levels of interest in the item. Now, there's a lot of times where I've been presented with something and people are like, oh, well, my aunt's gonna come bid on that. And I'm like, awesome, who's gonna bid against your aunt? And they're like, oh, no. I'm like, there lies the problem, because once I open up the bid and I take that bid, okay, now more often than not, I have to sell it. Now there gets a whole nother level of reserves and not having to sell things. That's a whole nother level of stuff I'm not going to get into today. But it does come into play with our negotiation strategy sometimes. But I now have to sell it, okay? Now, if I, let's say that they wanted that art to bring $5,000 and I started at half that, $2,500, nobody bids. I lower it, $2,000, nobody bids, blah, blah, blah. Keep going, $1,000, aunt finally bids. So I have a $1,000 bid, I have to sell it to her now, and there's nobody to bid against her. Now, she buys it for $1,000, okay? Therein lies the problem with only having one person who wants to buy something. That's why auctions cannot work, is because the desire is not there. So why art? Why is art the one thing I don't like to start? And the answer to that lies in that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and like with most things in life, you set a tone by the first action that you take. And so I really don't like starting auctions off with art because it's a wild card and I don't know how it's going to go. Now, if it's a wild card that goes well, great. We just set a really positive tone for the rest of the auction. If it goes poorly, what I just did is I set a tone with the audience, the buyers, the people I'm working against, is that, hey, we're having a garage sale here. And I do not want to send that message. I want to send a strong message that says, hey, we're here, we're selling this property, it's bringing real money, we're raising real money, whichever side of the coin I'm working on. So get those bid cards up. Art is hard to sell because it has two variables to take into account with this one. The first one is that the people just like the art in general. Art is insanely subjective, so is jewelry, in that you really gotta like it. Now again, remember, lots of people need to like it. I've seen the Mona Lisa at the Louvre. I don't get it. I know that it's by far probably the most famous painting in the world. It's one of the most photographed paintings in the world. It's one of the most highly sought after. There's a waiting line to get to see the Mona Lisa, whereas other paintings in the Louvre, other pieces of art in the Louvre that I personally found to be much more enjoyable, I don't even know who did it, right? So what is it, and it's hard to know that. Art is one of those things where it can be very hard to understand why you like it or why you don't. So that's the first thing is that a lot of people have to like it, and with art you just don't know. The second thing is size, and that's one thing that people don't take into consideration with art, is that you can have an absolutely wildly attractive piece of art. I actually encountered that very recently, in that I was selling a piece of art that was a Jayhawk. Now I realize that some of you in here are not KU fans, but whatever your alma mater is, right? So whatever you're a big fan of, just imagine it's that mascot. So this Jayhawk was really cool. It was actually my husband went to KU, and I was like, wow, that's actually really neat. It's kind of neat. I know he would like that. But the problem with that piece of painting is, and we were selling it to a room of KU alumni, by the way. So clearly everyone in the room is going to at least appreciate it. And, with 1,000 people in the room, and it was a pretty cool painting, there's probability that a lot of people are going to like it. Problem with the painting was that it was 8 feet by 8 feet. 8 feet by 8 feet is a monstrous size for a piece of art. I'm not an art connoisseur, and there's a lot of rules that go into how you properly display art. And this was an original oil painting, and so there's variables that says, okay, for every however many feet the painting is, you need to have that much white space around it in order for it to be properly displayed. And I can guarantee you that with a painting that's 8 foot by 8 foot, I don't have walls big enough in my house to have that. I probably need a 20-foot wall, and any of my 20-foot walls that I have windows in them, and so I don't have that big of a space that I could display it. So as much as I liked it, I don't have anywhere to put it. And so that's the second variable that hurts it, is that you can have a lot of people who actually like something, but they're like, I don't know where to put that. So that's why I don't like to start auctions off with art, is that because I don't know, and I can't even begin to guess who is going to like it and who has the space for it, that's the reason why I don't typically like to start auctions with art, because I want to begin that negotiation on a foot that I am very, very confident I'm going to set the tone that I want for how I want the negotiations to go. So I hope you enjoyed this little video about why I don't like to begin auctions with art. Please know that selling art at auctions is actually pretty cool. There is a time and a place for it, but everything that we do as professionals is always a little bit different, and that is the take on mine. So we are almost at the end of Unit 6, which means that we are almost done with class. You are one class closer to graduation. So make sure you get your assignments in. Folks, I'm not joking when I say that 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday is when you have to get your work in. Please get that posted by then. No late work accepted. I have got to turn in grades right away, and so therefore I don't have time for late work this week. So anything else that you have outstanding, get it in, and make sure you post your Unit 6 assignments on time. If you need anything, please let me know, and I'm looking forward to a fabulous last couple of days. Good luck, everyone. Bye-bye.